Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Good morning. Here we are in Green Park. Buckingham Palace is just over there. And we're doing some reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can see all the beautiful leaves falling. It's autumn here in London, and the trees are very autumnal. So,
Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 13, The Process of Creation.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 13. I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendence, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distresses and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is the complete form of all existence, both material and spiritual. Akila means complete, or that which is not kila, inferior. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two kinds of nature: Prakriti, namely the material nature, and the spiritual nature, or the external and internal potencies of the Lord. The material nature is called apara, or inferior, and the spiritual nature is called superior, or transcendental. Therefore, the form of the Lord is not of the inferior material nature. He is complete transcendence, and he is murti, or having transcendental form. The less intelligent men who are unaware of his transcendental form describe him as impersonal Brahman. But Brahman is simply the rays of his transcendental body, Yashya Prabha. The devotees who are aware of his transcendental form render him service. Therefore, the Lord also reciprocates by his causeless mercy, and thus delivers his devotees from all distresses. The pious men who follow the rulings of the Vedas are also dear to him, and therefore the pious men of this world are also protected by him. The impious and the non-devotees are against the principles of the Vedas, and so such persons are always hampered from making advances in their nefarious activities. Some of them who are specially favoured by the Lord are killed by him personally, as in the cases of Ravan, Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa. And thus such demons get salvation and are thereby checked from further progress in their demonic activities. Just like a kind father, either in his favour upon the devotees or his punishment of the demons, he is ever kind to everyone, because he is a complete existence for all individual existence.
That's an interesting sentence. He is ever kind to everyone, because he is the complete existence for all individual existence. So basically, I think the point is that whatever the Lord does is good.
Yeah, so
so whether it seems to be good or bad, that doesn't matter. That's dualistic mentality based on our materialistic perspective. But the Lord is kind to everyone, whatever he does. Even if he kills you because you're a demon, just like if a mother corrects her child for the benefit of the child may cry and not be happy, but it's for his benefit or her benefit. Okay. Someone?
Yeah, so like Krishna might not come and personally kill us. I don't, like in this day and age or whatever, but something like he does, it feels like your false ego is damaged, your reputation, anarthas are pulled to the surface, situations, people not so nice. This is all, if Krishna is the cause of all existence and controller, then he's also, in one you could say, slaying the demons that we have, past and present, creating these situations for our benefit. So there's no one really to, not blame, but, you know, but it's, blame, okay. But Krishna.
Well, I mean, Krishna helps to make things happen, but we're the ones to blame. Ultimately, it's our desires that have gotten us into this mess. We have to take responsibility for that. He's just set up the system by which we get reciprocated with accordingly. So, yeah, he's not to blame.
Yeah, but blame meaning we look at it and that who the external tool or person is, that we blame another person. Like if you have an argument or situation is not so nice, then that person is not nice, that devotee is not nice, look what they did. But it really is coming from Krishna. He's moving things around on the chessboard of life for your purification.
Yeah, I guess like that. But we have to see that we were just discussing this in the Bhakti Shastra yesterday. There are three doers. There's the individual soul, the Jivatma, then there's the three modes of material nature, and then there is the Paramatma. So in that way, the Jivatma desires, and by the sanction of the Paramatma, then the material energy, the three modes of material nature, deliver whatever is deemed fit or not necessarily deemed fit, or whatever we're qualified to receive. But it really emanates from the desire of the Jivatma, the living entity. So otherwise we could just say that Krishna's to blame for all this mess that we've gotten ourselves into. He just creates a situation, and like that, then. So anyway, let's read on. The Paramahamsa stage of existence is the highest perfectional stage of spiritual values. According to Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord is factually understood by the Paramahamsas only, as there is gradual realization of the transcendence from impersonal Brahman to localized Paramatma to the personality of Godhead, Purushottam, Lord Krishna. Similarly, there is a gradual promotion of one's situation in the spiritual life of a sannyasi. Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajikacharya, and Paramahamsa are gradual progressive stages in the renounced order of life, sannyas. And Queen Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, has spoken about them in her prayers for Lord Krishna, Canto 1, Chapter 8, which we've already read. The Paramahamsas are generally found among both the impersonalists and the devotees, but according to Srimad Bhagavatam, as clearly stated by Kunti Devi, pure bhakti yoga is understood by the Paramahamsas, and Kunti Devi has especially mentioned that the Lord descends Paricharanaya Sadhunam, especially to award bhakti yoga to the Paramahamsas. So ultimately, the Paramahamsas, in the true sense of the term, are unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has directly accepted that the highest destination is bhakti yoga, by which one accepts the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Those who accept the path of bhakti yoga are the factual Paramahamsas. So it's an interesting point that the Paramahamsas are there, and the impersonalists and the transcendentalists. So there are not transcendentalists, so the personalists. Because I always understood the Paramahamsas were only personalists, which is basically what Prabhupada is corroborating here and saying that Queen Kunti also said like that. So in one sense, the Paramahamsas are those who can understand bhakti yoga, so like that, and understand Krishna ultimately, which the impersonalists do not understand.
Yes. Since the Lord is very kind to everyone, the impersonalists who accept bhakti as a means of merging into the Lord's impersonal existence, the Brahma Jyoti, are also awarded their desired destination. He has assured everyone in the Bhagavad Gita 4:11, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami ham. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are two classes of Paramahamsas, namely the Brahmanandis, impersonalists, and the Pramanandis, devotees. And both are awarded their desired destinations, although the Pramanandis are more fortunate than the Brahmanandis. But both the Brahmanandis and the Pramanandis are transcendentalists, and they have nothing to do with the inferior material nature full of the existence existential mysteries of life.
There you go, and that explains it. So there are two types of Paramahamsas: the Brahmanandis for the impersonalists, which is actually what the four Kumaras were. They were considered Brahmanandis before they met the Lord in Vaikuntha in the pastime of Jai and Vijay. And then the devotee Paramahamsas are being called here Premanandis. Premanandis. And that's the devotees. So interesting. Nice point. Text 14. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. Purport. There are two sides of the transcendental manifestations of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. For the pure devotees, he is the constant companion, as in the case of his becoming one of the family members of the Yadu dynasty, or his becoming the friend of Arjuna, or his becoming the associate neighbor of the inhabitants of Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Yashoda, the friend of Sudama, Sridama, and Madhumangal, or the lover of the damsels of Brajbhumi, etc. This is part of his personal features, and by his impersonal feature he expands the rays of the Brahma Jyoti, which is limitless and all-pervasive. Part of this all-pervasive Brahma Jyoti, which is compared to the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of the Mahat Tattva, and this insignificant part is known as the material world. In this material world there are innumerable universes like the one we can experience, and in each of them there are hundreds of thousands of planets like the one we are inhabiting. The mundaners are more or less captivated by the unlimited expansion of the rays of the Lord, but the devotees are concerned more with the personal form from which everything is emanating. Janmadyasya yataha. As the sun rays are concentrated in the sun disk, the Brahma Jyoti is concentrated in Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. The immeasurable spiritual sky is full of spiritual planets named Vaikunthas, far beyond the material sky. The mundaners have insufficient information of even the mundane sky, so what can they think of the spiritual sky? Therefore the mundaners are also far, far away from him. Even if in the future they are able to manufacture some machine whose speed may be accelerated to the velocity of the wind or mind, the mundaners will still be unable to imagine reaching the planets of the spiritual sky. So, the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a myth or a mysterious problem. But for the devotees, the Lord will always be available as an associate. So according to your mentality, if your mentality is mundane, then the Lord reciprocates in that way. But if you're a devotee, then you get to experience and see the Lord firsthand.
In the spiritual sky, the Lord's opulence is immeasurable. He resides in all the spiritual planets, the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, by expanding his plenary portions along with his liberated devotee associates. But the impersonalists who want to merge into the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of the Brahma Jyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming associates of the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the Supreme Planet, Goloka Vrindavan, described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madhama, and here in this verse as the Swadharma of the Lord.
This Madhama, or Swadharma, is described in the Bhagavad Gita 15.6 as follows: Natad basaya te suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nirvantante tadama paramam mama. The Lord's Swadharma does not require any sunlight or moonlight or electricity for illumination. That Dhamma or place is supreme, and whoever goes there never comes back to this material world. Haribol!
The Vaikuntha planets and the Goloka Vrindavan planet are all self-illuminating, and the rays scattered by those swadharmas of the Lord constitute the existence of the Brahma Jyoti. The self-illumination of the Lord's Swadharma is further confirmed in the Vedas in the following verse found in the Mundaka Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, and Svetasvara Upanishad.
Svetasvatara.
Na tantra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam neha vidyuto banti kuto yam agni tam eva bantam anubhati sarvam tasya basa sarvam idam vibhati.
Very good. Brahmani.
In the Swadharma of the Lord, there is no need of sun, moon or stars for illumination, nor is there need of electricity, so what to speak of ignited lamps. On the other hand, it is because those planets are self-illuminating that all effulgence has become possible, and whatever there is that is dazzling is due to the reflection of that Swadharma.
So anything that is light in this material world is ultimately originating from Sri Goloka Vrindavan, which is like the equivalent of the sun disk emanating rays of sunlight. One who is dazzled by the effulgence of the impersonal Brahma Jyoti cannot know the personal transcendence. Therefore, in the Ishopanishad 15, it is prayed that the Lord shift his dazzling effulgence so that the devotee can see the real reality. It is spoken thus: Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tatvam pushan abhavrinu satyadharmaya drishtaye. O Lord, you are the maintainer of everything, both material and spiritual, and everything flourishes by your mercy. Your devotional service or bhakti yoga is the actual principle of religion, Satya Dharma, and I am engaged in that service. So kindly protect me by showing your real face. Please, therefore, remove the veil of your Brahma Jyoti rays so that I can see your form of eternal bliss and knowledge. Such a nice prayer coming from the Shirsh Upanishad, verse 15.
Text 15. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, worship, hearing can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer. The sublime form of religious performances to free oneself from all reactions of sins is suggested herein by the greatest authority, Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Kirtanam, or glorifying the Lord, can be performed in very many ways, such as remembering, visiting temples to see the deity, offering prayers in front of the Lord, and hearing recitations of glorification of the Lord, as they are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam or in the Bhagavad Gita. Kirtanam can be performed both by singing the glories of the Lord in accompaniment with melodious music and by recitation of scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita.
The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord, though they may think of not being associated with Him. Let's read that again. The devotees need not be disappointed in the physical absence of the Lord, though they may think of not being associated with Him. The devotional process of chanting, hearing, remembering, etc., either all or some of them, or even one of them, can give us the desired result of associating with the Lord by discharging the transcendental loving service of the Lord in the above manner. Even the very sound of the holy name of Lord Krishna or Rama can at once surcharge the atmosphere spiritually. We must know definitely that the Lord is present wherever such pure transcendental service is performed, and thus the performer of offenseless kirtanam has positive association with the Lord. Similarly, remembrance and prayers also can give us the desired result if they are properly done under expert guidance. One should not concoct forms of devotional service. One may worship the form of the Lord in a temple, or one may impersonally offer the Lord devotional prayers in a mosque or a church. One is sure to get free from the reactions of sins, provided one is very careful about not committing sins willingly in expectation of getting free from the reactions by worshiping in the temple or by offering prayers in the church. This mentality of committing sins willfully on the strength of devotional service is called Namno Balad Yasyahi Papa Buddhihi, and it is the greatest offense in the discharge of devotional service. Hearing, therefore, is essential in order to keep oneself strictly on guard against such pitfalls of sins, and in order to give special stress to the hearing process, the Goswami invokes all auspicious fortune in this matter. So that's pretty powerful. This verse, starting with "Let me offer obeisances to Lord Krishna," about whom glorification, remembrance, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer. So it means by hearing, chanting, remembering the Lord, we can be purified of past sinful activity, or even current sinful activity. At the same time, we have to be very, very careful that we're not in a mood of committing sinful activity, knowing that then by performing devotional service, I will get cleansed and purified of it. And that's a distinction. It's very subtle, but it's a distinction that's sometimes very difficult for people to grasp, because they think, oh, that means that then if I'm sinful in any way or acting inappropriately or in contradiction to the spirit or the mood or the activities of devotional service, then I shouldn't be performing devotional service, shouldn't be hearing or chanting. But it's not like that. It just means that if we're duplicitous in our mentality, that in a way we begin to start to commit activities that are in opposition to making progress on the spiritual path intentionally, with the consciousness that now I'll chant and eradicate that, that is considered the greatest offense against the holy name and against Krishna, like that, against the process of devotional service. So that we have to be very careful about. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, this is one of the, let's say, the side benefits of the process of devotional service, that we somehow become free from the results of our past sinful activities. But it's not the goal. That's not the goal. That's just a byproduct of devotional service. It's not the goal. Thoughts? Nothing?
I concur.
Okay. Shall we read on?
Text 16. Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, the highly intellectual. Simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without difficulty progress towards spiritual existence. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna has repeatedly instructed Arjuna, or for that matter, everyone concerned with becoming his unalloyed devotee. In the last phase of his instruction in the Bhagavad Gita 18.64 to 66, he instructed more confidentially as follows: Sarva Gurataman Bhaya Trinu Me Paramam Vacha Isti Si Me Dvida Iti Tato Vakshyami Te Hitam Manmana Bhavmad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyasemi
Sarvadharma parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha.
My dear Arjuna, you are very dear to me, and therefore only for your good I will disclose the most secret part of my instructions. It is simply this: become a pure devotee of mine and give yourself unto me only, and I promise you full spiritual existence, by which you may gain the eternal right of transcendental loving service unto me. Just give up all other ways of religiosity and exclusively surrender unto me, and believe that I will protect you from your sinful acts, and I shall deliver you. Do not worry anymore.
Wow, that is such a nice translation of those 3 verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, very, very beautiful. And you might not get that if you just read them individually, but that's really nice how Srila Prabhupada has paraphrased that. And it also shows this important point that, you know, that Prabhupada gives different translations of the verses in different places in his own books. He doesn't always repeat verbatim what is there. So when people get on this trip about editing and changing, it's like, as long as the essence is kept, and even here Prabhupada words it in such a way that you're like, oh wow, that makes so much sense. It's very sweet the way it's worded. It's not clinical, it's very personal. But even Prabhupada adjusts the translations ever so slightly, but still keeps the content in place, like that. Okay. So, persons who are intelligent take serious notice of this last instruction of the Lord. Knowledge of the self is the first step in spiritual realization, which is called confidential knowledge. And a step further is God realization, which is called more confidential knowledge. The culmination of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is God realization. And when one attains this stage of God realization, he naturally, voluntarily becomes a devotee of the Lord to render him loving transcendental service. This devotional service to the Lord is always based on love of God and is distinct from the nature of the routine service as prescribed in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are different instructions for such men of different categories, and there are various descriptions for Varnashram Dharma, Sannyas Dharma, Yati Dharma, the renounced order of life, controlling the senses, meditation, perfection of mystic powers, etc. But one who fully surrenders unto the Lord to render service unto Him out of spontaneous love for Him factually assimilates the essence of all knowledge described in the Vedas. Wow, what a statement. One who adopts this method very skillfully attains perfection of life at once. And this perfection of human life is called Brahmagati, or the progressive march in spiritual existence. As enunciated by Srila Jiva Goswami on the basis of the Vedic assurances, Brahmagati means to attain a spiritual form as good as that of the Lord, and in that form the liberated living being eternally lives on one of the spiritual planets, situated in the spiritual sky. Attainment of this perfection of life is easily available to a pure devotee of the Lord without his undergoing any difficult method of perfection. Interesting. Such a devotional life is full of kirtanam, smaranam, ikshanam. Okay. As mentioned in the previous verse, one must therefore adopt this simple way of devotional life in order to attain the highest perfection available in any category of human form of life and in any part of the world. So any human being, any human species in any part of the world can adopt this. This is for everyone, remembering the glories of the Lord, singing the glories of the Lord, hearing the glories of the Lord. When Lord Brahma met Lord Krishna as a playful child at Vrindavan, he offered his prayer in which he said, Shreya Shritam Bhaktim Udasyate Vibho, Klishyanti Ye Kevala Bodha Labya, Klishyanti Ye Kevala Bodha Labdaye, Tesham Masal Kleshala Eva Shishyate, Nanyajatastula Tushavagatinam. Bhakti Yoga is the highest quality of perfection to be achieved by the intelligent person in lieu of performing a large quantity of spiritual activities. Let me just read that again. Bhakti Yoga is the highest quality of perfection to be achieved by the intelligent person in lieu of performing large quantity of spiritual activities. So basically, that means, if I'm understanding correctly, that either you can perform a huge amount of activities, spiritual activities, to become qualified, or you basically just take up the process of Bhakti Yoga. Is that what you've understood?
Yeah.
Let's read on and see if Prabhupada explains it. The example cited here is very appropriate. A handful of real paddy is more valuable than heaps of paddy skins without any substance within. Of course, you need to know what paddy is. So paddy rice is like, a handful of paddy rice. The real rice, the raw rice, is more valuable than the skins, because rice usually you see is white rice. That means the skin has been taken off. So rice actually has husks, so it needs to be husked before it becomes like that. So you want the paddy rice, the raw paddy rice, rather than the skins that have been husked off. Similarly, one should not be attracted by the jugglery of karma kunda and jnana kunda, or even the gymnastic performances of yoga, but skillfully should take to the simple performances of kirtanam and smaranam, etc., under a bona fide spiritual master, and without any difficulty attain the highest perfection. Yes. Very poetic and wonderful. So that's it, I think.
Yes. I will stop here now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you all very much. Nice to have you with us this morning. Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.
Jai.
So we have this beautiful Bhagavatam we're still reading from, second canto, part 1, and it has their lordships on the front. You can see beautiful, beautiful darshan. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day.
Hare Krishna.